Hey everyone, thank you for joining us today for our VMware multi-cloud live stream. So just a reminder for everyone that is joining us that these live stream demos are taking place every week on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. Pacific, and we're featuring new speakers and topics each time. The recordings are hosted on the VMware Cloud YouTube channel, so make sure you check that out and subscribe so you can see everything that's coming up, as well as check out all of the sessions that we've done on demand. So today we are hosting part 3 of our 3-part series and final series session around operationalizing your multi-cloud. So with that, we have Shri and Tim here with David and myself today. So if you all can just give a brief introduction to yourself, and then Shri, maybe you can give an overview of what we've covered in parts 1 and 2, and then we'll take it from there. So David, I'll let you introduce yourself. David, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sorry, classic. Mike was on. I muted myself. Hey, everyone. Hi. Happy to be with you again today. I'm happy to be here with Lauren and our guest today. And I'll let Shri go.
Yeah. Thanks, David. You're on mute, the famous 4 words for the last 2 years.
Yeah, everyone's motto.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Shri. I'm the technical marketing for CloudHealth. And today I have Tim with me, who's joining me in the final demo. And we'll show you some cool things today. And the first 2 parts, we covered how you can get visibility. In part 1, we covered how you can gain visibility into your public cloud environments on AWS, Azure, Google, and Oracle Cloud, how you can manage costs, and how you can optimize in terms of looking at right sizing of resources. And then in part 2, we covered specifically reservations on AWS. We looked at savings plan. We looked at EC2 reserved instances and why they're important, why you should probably look at them, and how CloudHealth can help manage the complexity around all of this. And today in the final talk, we will be covering governance across multiple cloud environments. We'll look at operations aspects. So once you have set up visibility, once you have purchased savings plans, now the next phase is how do you monitor all of your infrastructure? How do you manage your costs? How does it work with your other tools that you might have in your portfolio, like vRealize automation, which you might be using for deployment? And then tying it all together with policies and how CloudHealth and vRealize operations work together to help you in that. Tim, why don't you introduce yourself and start us with?
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Shri. I am Tim George. I'm a technical marketing manager for anything public cloud as far as it comes to vRealize operations, as well as the cloud management assessment and the VMware True Visibility Suite. So been with the company about a year and a little over a year, I guess. So taking on more stuff and kind of showing on what we can do around your public cloud deployments. So today we're just kind of talking about a little bit around the integration between CloudHealth and vRealize operations. The integration for CloudHealth is kind of the newest part that we'll touch on. There is, of course, the management pack for CloudHealth as well for vRealize operations, which is a little bit different. Really, if I go to the next slide here, this kind of goes or shows what these different parts are. We have one piece that goes, the kind of top arrow there, goes from CloudHealth and will send data down into vRealize. So we get everything from our public cloud costing. And then the bottom arrow then is going to be the other way around. That's the integration for CloudHealth. And that's going to be sending some costing information from vRealize operations and then sending that directly to CloudHealth. Now, as far as what sort of information we're sending, we'll kind of move over here. If we're looking at our public cloud as far as AWS, Azure. I don't know why that that was a weird transition. Let me get the whole thing up. So on the left side here, there is the VROps on-prem that will send VMware VMW cloud costing to CloudHealth. So we can see we have our VMC on the left-hand side, goes into vRealize and then sends it to CloudHealth, as well as any information from vCenter or costing from vCenter. On the right side, kind of a picture there is if we're pulling anything from our public cloud, it can go directly to CloudHealth, come in from vRealize Cloud as well. So I really just wanted to show a couple of quick slides and really get into more of a demo, really, than have this be slide driven. So the first kind of thing I wanted to just go over real quick, and this is just a refresher as far as what we can do with in vRealize operations with all of our public cloud data. So if we look at AWS as our kind of example here, we can use start off and get our AWS inventory. So we can pull in and see all of our regions. We can see our EC2 instances, our Lambda functions, ECS clusters, our load balancers, all that good stuff that we can see and look at our numbers. Really just get the give us a glimpse of what our environment looks like at the moment as far as AWS is concerned. If we want to look into a little further, we can maybe get some of the health, of our environment as well. We see the same kind of object types, EC2, RDS, so on and so forth. Only now we can get what's healthy, what's not healthy, and really start diving into individual pieces as we see fit. Like looking into let's use our EC2 number one as the example. We can then get all of our regions by geolocation here. If we click any of these regions, we can then get a little more on what is going on in that region. It'll give us a little bit of a summary as far as regions are concerned, all of our alerts, and then a little bit on the bottom here on our highest utilizations, depending on if we're talking CPU, memory, whatever it might be we wanted to add in there. And we can do the same if we wanted with anything on RDS as well, or any of the other object types that we're bringing in then from AWS or Azure or GCP, depending on what we're talking about.
Hey, Tim.
Now, the other thing, sure.
Sorry, just a quick question there. So, and this is cool because the views you're seeing really they look a lot, and I assume that's by design. For the same kind of views you'd see if you were managing your data center, right? So it's sort of the idea is you have that sort of a common reference point or common reference model, if you will, for how you think about the things you're running, whether they're in the data center or in the public cloud. Is that correct?
Absolutely. It's a lot easier if you're familiar with everything that's on-prem. You're familiar with the views and the way things are laid out. And the widgets we're using for custom dashboards, you're already used to those. There's no sense changing that up. It's obviously works a little better if you're used to the views that you're already looking at. So whether we're talking on-prem, whether we're talking public cloud or a hybrid cloud, in between, we want everything to stay the same, the same kind of look and feel as we move between our different types of clouds. So absolutely. Now, if we also wanted to get a little bit on troubleshooting, as far as if we want to see how beyond just the health, we can look at dashboard similar here where we have all of our objects again here on the left-hand side. But now we can kind of click any of these, and let's just pick one of these EC2 instances, and now we can see in this case. The reason this one is having some trouble, we're down to 25% health on this one. And we can see, there we go. We can see it looks like our guest OS there is using about 100% of our disk, or our average is 100%. So we can kind of see, what's going on. We can move around from different EC2 instances here and see, all right, if I move it real quick, we can see this one is having 92% memory utilization average. So we can use that to kind of troubleshoot anything and kind of get or find out if any of our objects here are running out of space, or if they're running out of memory, CPU, so on and so forth. So we can also use this information then, instead of looking at individual object types or looking at the relationships that it has with the other object types within that particular hybrid cloud or public cloud, we can also go and make some custom dashboards as far as maybe some of our applications that are out there. So I've got an application here that we're looking at. We can see our application has got 3 tiers. It has, in this case, 3 different EC2 instances. And then we can see our EBS, our volumes, and as well as our Elastic Network interfaces here as well. If I do click on any of these EC2 instances, again, I'm using as an example. Now we can see if there's any sort of alerts for that EC2 instance. And then if I scroll down here, we can see our CPU usage, our CPU utilization average, our vCPUs, our memory, and our disks used average as well. And it would be the same if we clicked on any of the other objects that are here. And if we wanted additional information, we could always bring up our metric picker. We can see our CPU, our disk, or our OS metrics, and so on and so forth. We've also got some IP pings set up here as well, checking for latency packet loss directly to our website, so we can see the application itself, as well as kind of a little bit around what our user experience is going to be. Now that's just what we can do as far as anything public cloud, looking at the object types that are coming in from AWS. But if we put in the CloudHealth, the manager pack for CloudHealth, now we can get from our adapter all of our costs as well. So we have our total cost trend we can look at. Of course, it goes up for the month, and then we'll drop back down to 0 and continue that way, as well as our EC2 instances trend. We can see what those will look like over time. We can get our costs by accounts, so we can switch our different accounts and see our different costing on the AWS accounts, or we could do that by region as well. We can look and see what our number of EC2 instances are. We can look at our month-to-date cost as well as the trend, and then by services. So if we wanted to look at individual services, we can get our costing there, find out what, if anything, is trending, or maybe in a direction we don't want it to go there. Now, the next part is kind of the newest part, and I'll turn it over to Shri here in a moment, and that is the integration for CloudHealth that goes in. Instead of getting all this information as this AWS cost overview dashboard is getting, instead we are now going to send metrics from vRealize operations directly to CloudHealth, so that we can see those metrics there. That's a very pretty simple to set up. It's just a matter of putting in your access key. If I go to a repository, we can see that, both of these things that are here. At this point, we have 2 manager packs that are both unidirectional, right? We have our manager pack for CloudHealth that is getting information from CloudHealth, and then we have this integration for CloudHealth that is sending directly. And all we need to do is again, install this integration for CloudHealth, and then it is just a matter of setting up our API key. We'll send information to CloudHealth. So I'll go ahead and stop my share here, I think, and then we'll get that over to Shri, who can show us kind of what that looks like from the CloudHealth end.
Sure, Shri, before you jump in, I just want to make a comment. So I think one of the things I want to comment on is that, because people may think, we've talked a lot about VMware Cloud on AWS and things like that, but the stuff you're showing, just native cloud management, right? I mean, there's no expectation that vSphere is running there or any of that stuff, right? It's just yeah, because I think some people might be thinking, well, this is like managing a VMware cloud on AWS or something like that. But this is just pure native cloud management, right? So it's like most people would probably do this in a context where they're running, VMware, but they're also running a lot of native cloud services, and they need to just understand what that looks like, and they want a kind of a integrated view of all of it, right? So I think just want to make that point, because it might not be obvious to folks that this is just managing native cloud, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. That's a very good point. Everything that I showed is, and every dashboard that we looked at today, doesn't require any sort of vSphere or VMC or
yeah, or NSX or
Right.
vSAN. There's no expectation. These are just the
Correct.
native cloud services that are running in Amazon, and you can use vRealize to manage that. Now, most people I think would do that in the context of they're also running VMware, in their private cloud, or I mean on the data center, or maybe running VMC on AWS or something like that. But it's not a requirement. You can be running native services in the cloud, and you can manage them, right?
Absolutely.
And David, just
Very
to
good
add
point.
to that, it's like a SaaS delivered service as well.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So,
Yeah,
so you don't have to set up anything at all.
that's even all better. That's great. I just want to make the point because it might not have been obvious to some of the people that are watching that that's what they're seeing. Hey, all right, Shri. Hey, just take it away.
Yes. So, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So like
just on that, Shri, you tweaked something in my brain where you said, "Hey, the most common words you hear are you need to unmute yourself," and the second one is, "Can you see my screen?"
Can you see my screen? Yeah.
Exactly.
Good catch. Yeah. So coming back to this, we saw a lot of dashboards and optimization visibility over the last two webinars, and what Tim was pointing out was very important, right? If you understand, once you have costing visibility, once you have optimized, now you want to monitor, right? You need your day-to-day in operations where you need consistent dashboard. As soon as you saw David, you quickly identified, okay, this is the ops dashboard, right? It has to be that intuitive for anyone looking at it and just figuring out that, okay, I can manage my public cloud environment as well, right? And like totally mentioned, there's no dependency that you need to have a vSphere running and all. And to tie that back in here, we have integrations between CloudHealth and vRealize operations as well as vRealize automation, right? So what Tim was showing was vRealize Operations Cloud. It's our SaaS version. We also have vRealize Automation, which is an automation platform that can deploy to multiple cloud environments, right? And it can make it look all agnostic and seamless. One example is, okay, I want to deploy this 3-tier application on AWS, and I want to deploy similar constructs. I want to deploy another app on, let's say, Azure, right? And this becomes very important because companies are moving to multi-cloud model, and they need to have consistent policies. They need to have similar security structures, similar app structures across multiple cloud environments, and all the clouds have different constructs, right? So that's where VRA comes in and normalizes all of that and helps you in a very intuitive fashion to go and deploy all of these apps. And with CloudHealth, what we do is we help bring all of these costs together in one place, right? So last Tim showed on the slide, CloudHealth sends data to vRealize operations so that you can see all your public cloud environment costs within VRops. While you're monitoring, you can also look at the cost. And if you're running your hybrid model, right, that's what we're talking about, multi-cloud environment, right, both public and private, you can also see those costs from vRealize operations within cloud, right? So we have made it very seamless, irrespective of where you started your journey first, whether you're a vRops customer looking at moving from on-prem, moving to public cloud environment, or you're a CloudHealth customer who is also looking to bring their on-prem cost or integrate with monitoring solutions like vRops, right? So what you're looking at here is the data center dashboard, and we obtained all of this cost and all of these metrics right from vRealize operations. So if I go to my cost history report, we have seen this before as well, but now we are looking at all of the different vCenters, right, that we have provision on-prem, and we're looking at costs for those vCenters as well. Again, similar constructs like we saw on AWS and Azure side with cost history report. You can use the same perspectives. You can categorize the cost by cost centers, owners, projects, or whatever you would like to have, right? And you get the same capabilities, right? You can export the reports, you can subscribe to them. Again, trying to gather all of the data from vRealize operations and showing it over here. And then the setup is very simple, right? Tim showed you just one API key, and that's about it, right? And then we start getting all of this data from vRealize operations.
really provides a consolidated, integrated view, like you said. So you just have that place to go to, and everyone has a source of truth rather than multiple dashboards, multiple different data sets that people are working from. It provides that seamless, visibility for all different business groups and people that could be using the platform are working from the same set of information.
Yeah, I mean, it ensures that the data is consistent, right?
Right.
So in our integration, you don't have to come to CloudHealth and then onboard each of your vCenters. We automatically pull all the data from vRealize, right? So why make the customer go through that setup process again when we already have the data, right? So now we are again ensuring that same consistent data, those same vCenters are and their costs are available within CloudHealth.
Hey, I had a question related to
Yeah.
pulling in the data center. So you're bringing in the cost from the data centers. That's what I think I just saw, right? That you're bringing
Yes.
in, and
Yeah.
so there's a model obviously associated with modeling the cost in the data center that's different a bit than modeling cost in the public cloud, because in the public cloud you're getting the actual cost. In the data center there's some model that has to be built, right? So that sort of takes into account depreciation and things like that for server hardware and those kinds of things. Tim, I assume that the model's maintained in ops. Is that correct?
Maybe I don't understand the question exactly. You're saying
there's a set of costs that are coming in from the data center, right? So you have to have sort of like some depreciation schedule for the hardware that's discovered and things like that. Is that correct? I mean, that those kinds of things, and those are maintained in ops, I assume.
Those are, yes. Yeah, there are depreciation schedules that are included in ops, and those do follow over as far as between the two. Any costing is going to maintain its integrity when it switches over to CloudHealth.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the cost we get from vRealize. So you manage all of those costs. Even we have another report here that helps you look at all of these. We call a cost driver history. So you can, if you have put in licensing costs, if you have put in storage costs, all of those networking costs, all of those cost drivers are visible here as part of the cost driver history report as well.
Cool.
And then I slightly want to touch upon what data we bring in from vRealize Automation Cloud as well, right? So if I come to my cost history report, I'm just switching to our AWS tab, and you remember we have these perspectives. Perspectives are basically grouping of assets, right? Based on how it maps to your organization. We have something called as a vRealize automation perspective, right? So this perspective is automatically created whenever you integrate with vRealize automation. And what we do there is, as soon as you have deployed an application, right, using vRealize automation and it's up and running, CloudHealth can look at the cost of those applications over here, right? So we are looking at, I have different applications that have been deployed. It's my Moat shopping cart demo, right? This is something Tim was showing from vRealize operations dashboard where he could see the topology. We are getting this data from vRealize automation as well whenever you have deployed the application. And we can see the costs for those as well. And it's automatically grouped, right? So now if you want to see, okay, show me all the apps that I deployed using VRA and show me the cost for them, and we store the cost for the last 13 months, right? And this, again, makes it very easy. Again, to Lauren's point, ensures consistency. You're now looking at the same assets which you have deployed. You're looking at the cost of that. You were able to see the operations and monitoring dashboard for those applications as well.
Hey, Sri, on that, I assume that when VRA deploys something, there's some level of tagging or something that happens, right? And then sort of that gets pulled into CloudHealth.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it's automatically pulled into CloudHealth, and CloudHealth groups it, right? So you're not going there and saying, okay, these vRealize automation tags belong to this app, right? We automatically discover those tags and we group them so that the customer doesn't have to.
So if you deploy, like, say, the Moad application, which we've been discussing in some other ones, those get somehow, there's an indicator and a flagging that this is a VRA deployed element, and then all the resources that were deployed get tagged as Moad, and you bring those together and you can see that was VRA and it deployed the Moad application. Okay, cool.
I mean, just to show you, I'll just open our asset report. So this is our asset dashboard. So you can look at all the assets that you have deployed in your public cloud environment. Some of the cost might be zero because just the beginning of the month. But if let's look at this particular front end, and if I come in here and let's switch to tags, and on this page you will see the blueprint tag, right? This is the tag we are obtaining from vRealize automation, right? The deployment ID, which is very important, right? This is what ensures that the uniqueness of that particular deployment. So we get all of this data, and you can also add your custom tags, right? I've added some custom tags here. There's cost center, there's application, owner, and project. And now I can go back to my cost history report, and if I change the perspective to project, all of this would appear under MoAd project. But if you want to look at it based on an application, the tags are already there.
Very cool, powerful. It gives you sort of the ability to cut it any way you want.
Exactly. Right? And once you have these apps running, right, that's when now policies come into picture, right? How do you build policies that ensure no one is spending more than they need to be, or they're alerted when things are not as per the standards set by your cloud center of excellence or your cloud business office. So one example I'm going to take here with CloudHealth is it's very easy to build policies. So I'm going to say compute cost more than $100, right? I want to be alerted whenever it is, let's say, more than $100, 150, whatever number we choose. Now I can choose a resource type. Let's say I want to choose EC2 instance. I can choose any resource I want, and then CloudHealth provides you with different parameters that you can choose. We call them topics. So either you can choose to to create a policy based on cost, configuration, usage, performance. So I'm going to choose cost. I'm going to say whenever the monthly cost for an EC2 instance is more than 150, that's what we decided. Take some action for me, and we can decide what those actions could be. And if I quickly want to test the rule, just to make sure, okay, I'm getting all the appropriate assets, you can see that it says, okay, there's one Amazon EC2 instance that is more than $150, and I can click on view list, and it shows me this particular, and you can see the cost is 174, right? Last month it was 172. This month projected is 174.
Hey, Shrey, I thought we increased your budget. I thought we said you can spend $150.
I mean, you kind of put me under so much pressure that I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to show David. I can control the cost. I'll do it below $200.
We'll create a policy just for you. No
policy.
More than Shree policy.
Yeah.
Just add that in.
And now you can take an action, right? I can send for an approval, or I can go crazy and I can just say, okay, delete the EC2 instance, right? If it goes above $150, you probably don't want to do that. Or you can even run your own Lambda function. Let's say you want to have your own proprietary logic. There's something that you want to process or gather information before you take an action. You can do that as well. So CloudHealth can then trigger that specific Lambda function on your behalf. Or simply you can send an email to an owner, right? Whoever the owner is, you can say, okay, you can choose from the list of emails we have, or you can send, type the email and just say, okay, this is the specific owner, your cost for this EC2 instance is increased. And the nice thing about CloudHealth is now I can add another block, and I can use the same policy to also monitor Azure Virtual Machine, right? And I can put the same condition like we did before. I'm going to choose cost. Cost is greater than 150. I can save. So now this becomes like one generic multi-cloud policy, right? Now it's spanning across AWS, Azure. If you want to add Google, it's up to you. And you're controlling, you have the same unique policy that spans across all of them, right? And with CloudHealth, the nice thing that I like is you can actually, go very granular with the policies. So it's not just saying, okay, any EC2 instance. And now I can say, okay, any EC2 instance that belongs to a particular project. So I want to say, okay, for this MoAd developer project, right? This developer environment, apply this EC2 instance cost policy. For production, I think I'm okay, right? You can skip that. So CloudHealth is smart enough to go and look at that, identify that, and then just send you just appropriate alert. So you're not sending this $150 alert to like everyone across your organization. So that's the power of this granular policy, and also the ability to add your own custom Lambda functions if you want to trigger them, or use out of the box actions, or even add as many blocks as you want, right? So that basically covers the policy aspect, right? And one quick thing I want to touch upon is also the new tag management capability that we have within CloudHealth, where CloudHealth automatically looks at all of your cloud environments and gathers all of these tags, right? And one thing we notice when customer environments is the way you write tags. And there is, if you tell the developers, hey, just label this particular application with the name app and then provide your name, you'll see these three different variations, right? There's app, there's A is uppercase, you can put all of them as uppercase. But the intention for all of them was to say that this is a particular application tag, but you have ended up with now a gazillion different tags, which are difficult to manage. And if you have some kind of automation running, how do you parse this, right? What information or what kind of tag are you looking at? So that's what this tag management capability currently helps customer with, right? It brings together all of these tags, simplifies that. You can clearly see if this is in use, if there are custom values, how many assets are there with the specific value, right? I can look at there are 106 which have cloud formation, and you can see all the different gazillion variations of cost center tags, right? So it's very easy to just implement a policy, just telling your developers, hey, just add this tag. But from an ops point of view, from a finance point of view, you do want to know, okay, all of these four mean the same, right? So let me first look at what are the different permutation combinations I have, and then I can use this within my perspective. I can say any of these combinations, anytime they show up, please put them in this particular perspective of cost center, right? So this is a new capability within CloudHealth, again, to help customers identify assets, because tagging is one of the most crucial pieces.
That's a nice capability. It really is helps keep keep the quality up.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but between cloud providers, they have different parameters and restrictions on how you can or cannot tag as well, like depending on the character or special characters. So this, if there are restrictions, then you can combine different tags, even if they're from different cloud environments, into the same perspective. Is that fair to say?
Exactly, Lauren. So you're right? Every cloud provider has their own way of setting tags, their own rules around those. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to go and re-tag all of these, because sometimes it may not be even possible, right? But CloudHealth allows you to group all of these tags. And if you want to ensure consistency in tagging, you can do that on CloudHealth side, right? You can just tag instances with the same tag that you ensure without even affecting the actual resources themselves. So for you do get the visibility. You can look at the cost. You can look at performance and usage metrics based on those tags, but it doesn't affect what the changes cloud providers are making. And that's all I have for today.
That's cool. It's good. Good set of demos. Sort of closes out the series nicely on sort of the intersection between vRealize Ops and CloudHealth. Some nice stuff. Really good.
Yeah, thank you guys. As you mentioned, this does close out our series on operationalizing your multi-cloud, but that doesn't mean we're stopping there. So actually this month of August, starting next week on Tuesday, we're kicking off a whole new series around security. So we'll be talking about how to optimize your security in a multi-cloud environment, and featuring different speakers and topics around that. So please check those out on the channel and on our playlist, and set a reminder with your subscription to the channel so you can see which sessions are of interest to you and what you might want to attend. But with that, do you guys have any final thoughts before we kind of wrap up?
No final thoughts. Just thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Yeah.
For anybody that's attending or sees this, and if you like this stuff, please subscribe to the channel. would love to have you as regulars, and you'll get notifications, etc. So please subscribe if you like what you're seeing.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Yep,
See
thank
you
you.
next time.